Welcome to In the Envelope, a podcast from Backstage, the one-stop shop for actors and creators both above and below the line. I am your host, Vinny Mancuso, Backstage senior editor and professional entertainment obsessive. I'll be your guide through every corner of the creative industry with the help of some of your favorite stars. Here you'll find intimate, in-depth talks with today's most award-worthy names in film, television, and theater. Along the way, we'll get advice on living your best creative life, relatable stories of the highest highs and lowest lows, and maybe, just maybe, a rare peek in the envelope.
I did so many auditions. I really think that people don't quite understand how many times you get told no. And the very few times you get told yes, it just feels so amazing. And that yes just makes you want to keep on going.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of In the Envelope, the Actors Podcast. I am your host, Vinny Mancuso, and we are rocketing toward the 74th Annual Emmy Awards. And joining us today on the podcast is, for my money, whatever that's worth, the frontrunner for Outstanding Actress in a Limited Series. That is the wonderful Kaitlyn Dever. I say that, of course, with all due respect to film nominee Jennifer Coolidge, who we love and pay homage to every day of our lives as she deserves, but Kaitlyn Dever's performance in Dopesick is not only a standout of this season, but it's a standout of a long, long time. Of course, if you know the story of Dopesick, which is the infuriatingly true story of the opioid crisis, you know that Kaitlyn Dever's performance is a heavy, heavy performance. And this conversation gets heavy. How could it not? We get into everything, how she tracked her stages of withdrawals, where her character is at. We get deep into it, but it's also a hopeful conversation. It's a conversation with great advice for any actor at any part of their career who wants to know what it's like to really dive into a character. It's also a conversation that includes extended sidebars devoted to the greatness of Toni Collette and the fact that Kaitlyn Dever's father was the voice of Barney the Purple Dinosaur. Every actor's journey contains multitudes, is what I'm saying. Let's get into it. This is Kaitlyn Dever. Applications are now available for UCLA's professional program in acting for the camera. Gain knowledge from successful industry professionals and receive a world-class acting education in 3 quarters, consisting of scene study, acting for the camera, and career development workshops. An intimate classroom environment with a maximum of 16 students per workshop, and a certificate of completion from the UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television. Students are encouraged to apply early, space is limited, admission is competitive. Just Google UCLA Professional Programs. You'll find us. Kaitlyn Dever is freshly Emmy-nominated and has no plans of slowing down. After making the leap from sitcom star to multifaceted actor, Dever has been on a remarkable run of impactful roles, from Olivia Wilde's subversive teen comedy Booksmart to Netflix's harrowing true crime drama Unbelievable. Dever earned her first Emmy nod with Hulu's Dopesick, in which she achingly portrays a coal miner who falls victim to opioid addiction. Here is the great Kaitlyn Dever. How's it going?
Hi, Vinny. It's going good. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for being here. It's an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. We are, as of this day, recording, we're about 2 weeks from Emmy nominations, in which you were nominated for an Emmy. Can you tell me what it feels like? And when I say feels like physically, emotionally, when they say your name, what's that like?
It's definitely a whirlwind of emotions. I felt really emotional. I was with my sister. We were in our PJs drinking coffee, and we were scrolling. I was like, oh, I wonder. We scrolled we were scrolling on her computer. She had it pulled up and saw my name. And we started like screaming, and it was so much fun. It was just so cool. It was really emotional. Then my parents, had champagne ready at 8:00 in the morning. We did a little toast. It was really cool to be able to share it with them immediately, and then to text Mayor Winningham, who I am nominated with, and we did so much together on the show, and doing scenes with her was just so much fun, and getting to know her as a person was just amazing. And then seeing that our show ended up getting 14 nominations is just I just feel so proud of everybody. I feel so proud of Danny, because he just had so much passion for the story and had a deep need and to tell the story in the right way. And it feels really, I mean, making the show was a rewarding experience, and then the release of the show has been so incredible to be a part of, and to get to watch how the show has impacted people. But then to be able to, to celebrate with them in this way, and to be recognized by the Television Academy just feels really, really insane. Feels really insane, but I feel really grateful and lucky. I feel really, really grateful.
It's incredible. I'm always curious about, when someone's a working actor, the sense of highs and lows. I'm curious after, the nominations came out and it's like, you're Emmy nominated. How soon was it, back to work? Was it sort of like, okay, Emmy nomination, got to get back to work?
I mean, yeah, I actually did go to work that day. It is kind of like, you hear that kind of news, and it is just, you just kind of keep going and move on. And that's that kind of recognition almost like fuels the energy into the day and into the week, almost. So, but it is crazy, because being recognized in that kind of way does really make me think about just how hard it is to be able to just work at all, and Dopesick definitely was came into my life at a point where I hadn't gotten any auditions come through in my email inbox from my agents, and it came at a time during the pandemic when we were kind of like, I had a project that was supposed to go, and then it kind of just stopped, and we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what this was, and I was so excited to just read a script for the first time in a while, and then for that script to be as incredible as it was just was even more exciting. And it was just something I wanted so badly, and it's hard to get a job, and then to be able to have someone put their trust in you and to allow you to take on something that is so important feels really good. And so to be able to just complete that job was just, again, such a rewarding feeling. But everything that has come after it has been really just an incredible experience, and I feel really, really, really lucky.
Absolutely. Because of who we are backstage, we sort of, we love hearing about, well, we don't love hearing about it, but we love hearing about those sort of in-between moments where, we all see the Emmy nominations, we all see the highs, but it's always so interesting to hear someone describe those that void between jobs, where it's you're waiting for an email, you're waiting for a script, you're literally waiting for anything. And I'd love for you to sort of, put us in those moments. What is that like? What is it? What are you thinking during those moments? What is keeping you moving forward during those moments?
Yeah, well, I think you get so used to it as an actor. It is definitely, I definitely like love working, and I love being on set, and I love creating and collaborating with different filmmakers and actors, and getting to know everybody and creating that environment on set is one of my favorite feelings in the world. So yeah, when it's not happening, you definitely get antsy, but it, I've come to be maybe a little more comfortable with it, but I don't think I'll ever be super like comfortable in that feeling. But it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. There are highs and lows, and when the highs do happen, I just like really love to just be as in the moment as I possibly can, and to really enjoy those moments, and again, like being able to celebrate the Emmy nomination with my family was just so special, and because I feel like they are my biggest supporters, and they are the ones that are always supporting me throughout the highs and the lows, and so, but yeah, I don't think it's definitely tough sometimes, but I also have gotten a little bit more comfortable with it. But again, it's inevitable with this job, and I can't imagine myself doing anything else, obviously.
Yeah, the sense I kind of get is that it's almost like you don't want to get fully comfortable with it. It's part of the fuel. It's part like the like you mentioned. It's just inevitable. So getting too comfortable with it would kind of, I don't know, take away a core part of the process. Is what it sounds like to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think there are definitely moments when I honestly I choose to, have a moment or a break because I don't want to work for the sake of working. Especially more recently, I've found, being a part of shows like Dopesick, I want to be a part of projects that I'm really, really passionate about and that I really, really connect with. And on top of that, projects that I feel are really going to, be impactful. And so I love to seek out those kinds of projects. But again, yeah, I don't want to work for the sake of working. And again, like I said, I do love working, but I think being able to, again, be a part of projects that I'm immediately passionate about, and to be able to work and do what I love the most is the best combo. So yeah, I'm definitely in a moment right now where I'm just I am not working. I just got back from a job, and I'm really enjoying this time. I'm enjoying the family time, because I think there are moments when you do need it, and my life has always, come first, but I'm definitely enjoying this time with my family, and being able to celebrate this moment with them.
Absolutely. So because of how special this moment is, I do want to go all the way back to the beginning, because we love to hear the journey to what got you here. So I want to go back all the way and ask whether you have anything you consider a acting origin story, a movie, a performance, anything you saw or experienced where you were like, oh, you know what? That's something I want to do. That is where you kind of zeroed in on what acting is and why you wanted to do it.
Oh, the very beginning. I think it's kind of happening all at once. I honestly, I saw really the beginning is when I started. I was The only thing I watched when I was little was Disney Channel, and I loved.
Absolutely.
Obviously, I loved like the fact that like Raven Simone was able to like make me laugh so much, and I knew that I was being moved in a certain way, and I knew that I didn't really quite understand what acting was, obviously, when I was watching these shows, but I was obsessed with them. And like, I then was kind of creating my own plays with my sisters at home. And my first audience was my parents, and making them laugh was the best feeling in the world. And so then I would also then start doing bits and jokes that I knew worked, and I would do it over and over again just to make them laugh. Just was like such a good feeling. And then I saw The Sixth Sense for the first time.
Wow.
And it wasn't when it first came out. I don't actually know when Sixth Sense was released, but I watched it a couple years after it was released because I wasn't old enough to see it. But I was still young when I first saw it. It was pretty scary.
It is a very scary movie.
It's a terrifying movie. But I was able to really connect with Toni Collette's character in that movie. And for some reason, that was the first time I was like, oh, whoa, this is a different feeling. And I kind of immediately knew then that like, oh, okay, I want to do that because she seems like a real person to me. And I think that's really where it, like the itch and the urge began. And then I started begging my parents to put me in. I also thought that acting was sort of like a thing you could just do. I thought you could just like go and be on Disney Channel if you wanted to be, and that's definitely not how it works.
Yeah, it's like becoming a cashier, like just you hand your resume in. Yeah,
exactly. And so I then realized like, oh, you need to like take acting classes or something. So I was like begging my parents to like, wanted to do acting, and they're like, well, you need to, if you want to do this, you start acting classes. And so after begging them over and over again, I also just I jumped around so much when I was little. I did ballet, and then I didn't want to do that anymore, and then I was in gymnastics, and I didn't really love that. And soccer was actually the only thing I loved playing soccer, and I continued to do that until we ended up moving I grew up in Texas, and I just kind of continued to work, and then I stopped soccer, but I really did love soccer. But acting classes, my family were like, all right, well, she's probably gonna like try this for a few weeks, and then she'll want to do something else because this is what Kaitlyn does. And I just remember the first day I went to acting classes, and it's like so dramatic because I'm 10 years old, and for some reason I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I feel fulfilled. But I did for some reason, and I don't know why. And I loved it. I loved being different people, and I think it also, I think it comes from maybe being obsessed with the way people, like real people that I knew acted. Like I was always like staring at people when I was younger, like to a degree where I was like, my mom, definitely took, she noticed it, and she actually told me this as when I was a bit older. She was like, you used to do this all the time, and you still do. And then I started noticing, oh yeah, I do kind of do that. But like, she's like, you used to stare at people really like a lot, and like you were studying them. And I always thought like, maybe should I say something about this? And she's like, I never stopped. I never did anything. I never stopped you, or I never told you about it because I knew you were doing it for a reason, which I thought was really sweet. And yeah, I've just been obsessed with playing different people, and I got to do that in acting classes. And I did the acting classes for a couple months, and then they did like a showcase for the kids in the acting class for like an agent from LA. And this agent from LA picked like 2 kids that she wanted to sign, and I was one of them. And my parents, what I always thought was interesting was that we were approached at the same time. Like I thought that would be something that they approached my parents like separately about, but they approached like me and my parents at the same time. Like,
child,
we want to, yes. And I was like, well, we have to go. We have to go. Yeah.
Obviously, yes. Yeah.
And my parents, they were always so supportive, but they also were very realistic, and they wanted me to, they really wanted me to have an opportunity and to, they knew how much I loved it at such a young age, and they put they really, really gave me the support, but they also, so we went out to LA to do this thing called pilot season, and I went out for a couple auditions, and they told me like, Kaitlyn, like, this is going to be really, really, really hard, just so you know. My parents are they were in the figure skating world, and had then turned, they started coaching later on in their life. And so I think they kind of understood what that would be like a little bit. But and my dad did voiceover work in Texas as well.
Your dad was the voice of Barney, the purple
Yes.
dinosaur.
Yes.
I do research for these things, and sometimes something pops up, and I have to triple check it because I'm not sure if it's true. That's
right,
that's just
because it's so
fact.
random. You have to triple check
it's in the
because it's
middle
so
of
random.
your bio. It's your commercial work and stuff, and then there's a sentence: her father was the voice of Barney the purple dinosaur. I love that.
Right.
That's wonderful. And just one of those things that I'm sure informed this early period for you.
Yeah, my dad was always like doing voices around me and my sisters, and I definitely saw him like going over his lines for work, and that definitely influenced my urge for sure. But yeah, they were just completely realistic when I first started, and they said, you're not going to get the first thing you go out on, Kaitlyn, so just know that. And I ended up oddly getting the first thing I went out on, and then but I never actually shot it because they used my callback audition for the commercial that I auditioned for, which is really funny. Never happens. That never happened again. But I did get it was the first thing I went out on. So that's the sort of like long, I haven't ever really gone into full detail about the origin story, but that is the full origin story.
Yeah. Think you can write 2 feature screenplays or a TV spec and 2 original TV pilots in less than 9 months? If you're accepted into the UCLA professional program in screenwriting or writing for television, you will. Both programs begin this fall. Learn from renowned UCLA instructors, and you'll receive a world-class education in less than a year. An intimate environment with a maximum of 10 students per instructor. Guidance from writing your script through navigating the industry. And a certificate of completion from the UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television. Just Google UCLA Professional Programs. You'll find us. I'm interested because you did book commercial work at the beginning. I was just kind of going through the list. It was the Shrek Go-Gurt commercials, the Skate and Trick, stuff like that. What did that part of your career sort of teach you about what this career would be like? Because that's the first stepping stone for a lot of people is commercial work, but it's also a very little understood part of it. So I'm curious what that was like, how it informed what came after, what you were thinking during that period.
Yeah. The craft service on commercials are very fancy.
Wow, that's good to know.
Very good. No, what I learned at the beginning in doing the commercials, yeah, I mean, it was kind of the only thing I was really auditioning for the first year or so of auditioning, but I was continuing to book these commercials, and I guess at the beginning of sort of like the learning process, and I guess it was that I would get so nervous before, and especially so nervous for the audition process. Even still, I don't think that's ever going away, which is fine. I think it's just it just means that I really care, and I want to I want to do a good job. But then I was able to, for some reason I just felt really comfortable when I got on to set. And that was an exciting feeling because I had gone, for a while of like this like nerve-wracking audition process, but I just kept, I still loved it at the same time. But being on set and, learning about how things, it would also move so fast. And I think I haven't really thought about like being, 11 on a commercial shoot in a while. But I think, it was, all of it was just a stepping stone, and I was like a sponge. And a lot of it was like just subconscious, and a lot of the learning was just like doing it. And then I hadn't gotten a lot of, I remember at the time I wasn't auditioning for a lot of movies, and just a lot of them didn't, I hadn't done a lot of movie auditions at the time. And then because I think agents like to like work your way, like they like to really work your way up to it. And I got an audition for an American Girl movie. And I did there's like a series of callbacks that I went through, but I ended up getting it. And that was my first movie that I did, which was really exciting. And that was a different feeling. That was like that felt obviously like it was a bigger deal. And that was a cool feeling.
I'm curious, as someone who wanted to get into acting, during all of this, did it feel like this was your career? Like, you were very young and you were doing different auditions for different stuff. Did it feel like you were in your acting career, or were you waiting for something to happen, or like were you waiting for a significant leap, or did this all just feel like, oh yeah, I'm doing it, I'm working my way up?
It always just felt like I was working my way up. I don't know what really up was, but just like doing more of it. I just like loved the process of just being on a set and finishing projects and it felt like I wasn't really working towards like an end goal at that time necessarily, even now, but like I think the process of again like auditioning, and I did so many, like it sounds like when I say like, oh yeah, I did like 11 commercials in that first year, and then I did but I did so many auditions. I really think that people don't quite understand like how many times you get told no. And the very few times you get told yes, it just feels so amazing. And that yes just makes you want to keep on going. And so yeah. But I think that also continuing to do, so I was again a young child. So I when I was like, 11 doing a movie, my parents still made school like a number one priority. And I always had my family and my sisters that were just constantly there. So I had this, there wasn't like a whole lot of pressure on acting. It was just something that my parents were allowing me to do, and to be able to do it was like such a dream. And so I was just I just felt so, I did know how lucky I was at that time. I really did. And I was just exciting to be on a movie set and doing a TV show for the first time. And all of it was just like really, the process of getting something and going through the audition process was just exciting.
I do want to jump forward just a bit to 2019, which was both, I'm pretty sure it was both Booksmart and Unbelievable, which kind of felt like a big shift where it sort of became like, wow, these are the kind of you're making choices. These are the kind of characters I want to play, and two very, very, very different projects, but you are playing in both sort of underrepresented characters, people we don't really hear from a lot. So I'm curious if you felt that shift happening and what it was like to come to that place where you're like, oh, these are not just the jobs I want. These are the type of things I want to be doing.
Yeah. Definitely. I really, it was really like an incredible realization to have when I, for a couple years, I was just doing these things that I loved. And I was also just these projects that I had been a part of, it was kind of just pure happenstance that I was able to get them. And I got hired for these jobs and I was auditioning and again, auditioning a lot. And the things I happened to be a part of were just a thrill. But then when I realized it was kind of when I started to notice like the impact you can have in making something and not only love acting and doing the job, but then also being a part of something that has like real impact. I think I noticed that for the first time when I did Short Term 12. Mm-hmm. And again, like Short Term 12 was an audition that came through and I auditioned for it a couple times. I auditioned with Destin and then I got it and I was so excited to do it. And then, I was just soaking it all in, being around Destin and Brie Larson and Lakeith and Rami. And, that was a really, really cool moment for me. Cause again, I was on a sitcom during that time. And, it's really, really, it's like, especially at that time, being on like a 22 plus episode sitcom series was really hard to not get out of it, but just be able to do other projects on the side. And the people a part of that show are like my family, and they were so supportive of me wanting to try different things and really continue to build my career on the side. And I was able to literally do Short Term 12 like on the weekends of doing Last Man Standing, the sitcom I was on for a big part of my life. And I'm so grateful for that. But yeah, I really saw like, oh, people are like really connected to this in a different way. Like the audience, like the reaction I was getting to. It was the first time I was like going to Q&As and going to screenings and talking about my role in the film and people sharing their own stories. And I thought that was a really big turning point in my head and in my career, and kind of, oh, that was a really incredible thing to be a part of. And then when I did Booksmart was something that I felt so lucky to be a part of, and I had been a part of it, a couple of years prior to it getting made, and I just knew that it was going to be something really special. And I felt, making a movie about female friendship is something we need more and more of. And then really, Unbelievable was the big one for me, where I learned so much about myself. I learned so much just in general in making that show. And then in the release of that show, just the people that were reaching out to me and being open and willing to share their own stories and their experiences, similar to the character I played, Marie's experience. You know, I really felt like, oh wow, this is, not only do I get to do what I love, but I also get to allow at least one person to feel seen by something that I've done, and that really just means a lot. And so now since then, and that's why, you know, doing Dopesick was so exciting. You know, it feels really good to make that impact and to put a lot of hard work into something that really does deserve to be told.
Absolutely. Those are the, you know, the Short Term 12 followed by Booksmart. I first of all, I love that Short Term 12 has kind of become this artifact where it's like, here's the presentation of everyone who is going to be the next stars of the judge. I feel like whenever you tell people the cast of Short Term 12, they're like, oh, that's everyone. That's everyone that's doing so well now. And then, yeah, like you mentioned, Unbelievable it just felt like a huge shift. And it's interesting you were doing this alongside Toni Collette, the person you specifically called out before. I'm wondering what your conversations were like with her. She is a force of nature. And I'm curious, you know, because you did mention you are a sponge on these things. So what were you taking from her? What were you saying to her? What were those conversations like?
Yeah. Oh my God. I was never going to tell her that, because I was never going to say, you are the reason why I wanted to be an actor.
Yeah.
That's a very vulnerable thing.
It's a lot to put on someone.
I know, but I did. And I knew that, you know, our storylines were kind of parallel storylines in Unbelievable, and I knew that I might not get the chance to maybe say it again, and we'd start working, and we'd be passing each other on set, and I wouldn't have the opportunity to. So I decided to just do it right on the welcome dinner of our show. And I was sitting across from her, and I was like, oh my God, this is insane. I can't believe I'm sitting across from her right now. And I just, it was one of those things where it was like kind of loud, and it was like, Toni, so I just wanted to say something to you. It's so nice to meet you. I saw Sixth Sense when I was younger, and you kind of the reason why and she took it so well, and she was so nice to me. And it's just, maybe I could have done it in more of an intimate setting, but we were at this, like, Netflix put on this welcome dinner before we started making the show. And I decided that was my moment. And I'm glad I told her. But yeah, she is just so good at what she does. She is just, I love her. She's such an incredible dramatic actress, but then I went to Muriel's wedding screening, where she was actually doing a Q&A after. It was like an anniversary screening. And I think I went to it while we were making Unbelievable, and just hearing her talk about the things that she loves. She loves, like, the simplest part of acting, and I really connected with her in that way. She's like, I just love drinking my coffee and sitting and talking with hair and makeup in the morning. And then she really, when she was talking about those things that she really admires, I felt like connected with her and in that way. And she just really appreciates, like, the small little parts of it, which is what I love about acting as well. I mean, I love it all, and she loves it all. So I just really felt like, oh, she's just everything I wanted her to be, and more, everything I dreamed of. And so unfortunately we never had scenes together, but I was still, sitting in the hair and makeup trailer with her at the same time, and we were constantly passing each other on set. And she's an icon for me. She's a really big deal. And I feel so lucky to be in the same show as her.
Yeah. Meet your heroes. It turns out well sometimes.
Yes.
So then you come to Dopesick, which is a truly a remarkable performance. It is heart-wrenching, but it's so quietly heart-wrenching. I read somewhere that you created a spreadsheet to sort of keep track of because it was filmed out of order, but you are doing such a wide range of emotion in the show. You just wanted to keep track of, where you were at that moment. So I'm curious, was that a first time thing for you? Did it help? Why did it help? What was the process like of keeping all of that compiled and compacted in your head?
Yeah. I created the spreadsheet. It was the first time I have ever done that before, because I felt a deep responsibility to get this right, because Betsy is a composite character and does represent the millions of people that were and are affected by the opioid crisis. So I really felt like I needed to do the best I possibly could, again, because I was so lucky to be given this opportunity, and that kind of opportunity does not come around too often. So I have to really give it everything I possibly give everything I have to this character. And yes, so we were shooting out of order, and the what in my preparation process and in reading a lot about opioid addiction and how it affects someone, I realized that it is very different person to person. It's not black and white, and it does really change. It literally changes your brain chemistry. And Betsy's journey in particular is so up and down, and she is just going through so much physically and emotionally, and her life is just completely upended by this drug. And because her journey is so up and down, and I wanted to be very specific about the level of withdrawals, and in order to do that, I felt like I had to make this spreadsheet. So I sat down with my sister. I was like, Maddie, can you? At this time, I now know how to work Google Docs. I'm getting better at it, but at the time, I did not understand Google Docs.
They teach entire classes on that. It's a lot. I understand.
So finally, she helped me with it. We sat down and we went through each episode and each scene that I had, and did an entire spreadsheet of the entire season. It was really helpful, and I was able to like leave an open box next to each scene, and then I was able to, I would handwrite what I ended up doing, because it always changes when you get to set and rehearse it and stuff. But I was able to keep track of where I was and be very specific about her journey, because again, I felt like she deserves everything and more.
I do want to sort of leave off here by talking about two specific moments from the show, because I think that they're very indicative of the range that you're doing in this show, the range of the character, the range of the arc, and just sort of get a sense of what led to this moment on set, what the preparation process was like. The first moment is in episode 5, I believe. Your father, played by Ray McKinnon, pours Betsy's pills down the sink, and it's this very explosive scene. It's very physical. There's a moment where you're slamming your hand against the cabinet. It's just this very outpouring of emotion. And I'm curious what that is like on set for you, how you like to prepare for moments like that, how you let it, what's prepared ahead of time versus what you let happen. Just take us through something like that.
Yeah, I mean I guess I have to first start off with like the relationship that Betsy has with her parents and how complicated it is. But in doing like the episodes prior and the scenes before that episode with her parents, I think while it is so complicated and there is so much like frustration there, especially from her father's end of things, I think that there is still this like layer of love underneath it all. And I think that in that scene in episode 5. It was a lot of emotions, and that scene represents, a family sort of like really falling apart, and represents many families and that were affected by this epidemic, and how you feel like there's, every character in that scene, there's nowhere to turn. And Betsy feel, again, from the things that I've learned in my research, is that when someone is going through that withdrawal and they don't have it, they feel like they're they literally feel like they're dying. And so when she finally, gets more pills, she feels like safe again, which is so sad and heartbreaking, but she feels like she feels okay again. And she's finally feeling like, okay, I'm feeling much better. And she's come home, and then her father throws down everything that she had just worked so hard to get, and down the drain. And it is literally like he's killing her, and that is how she feels. And again, that's the brain chemistry I was talking about earlier, how it literally changes her brain chemistry, and she's just like not even Betsy anymore. And it was so hard to tap into those emotions, but I think it was, the thing that was really helpful is the fact that, I get to act with people like Mare Winningham and Ray McKinnon, two like brilliant actors. And Kaitlyn, had so much love for them in person. Like, they are two of the most just genuinely just incredible people. I had gone and like hung out at Mare's house on the side and just had like one of the best afternoons I've ever had in my life with her. And she really felt like a motherly figure to me. And then Ray McKinnon literally wouldn't stop making me laugh during like the entire series. Like, literally just is one of the funniest people I know. So I genuinely had so much love for them, and there is so much conflict there in that scene. And especially because, the two of them thought my character was going to AA and getting better and on an upward path. And it turns out that I just wasn't. And that's actually where I was getting more pills. So the whole thing was just really emotionally draining. But again, Danny never wanted to sugarcoat any part of addiction in this show. And I think that in order for people to feel seen by it, we needed to add this kind of humanity to it. And I thought that his writing was so incredible, and it felt right, and it felt like really honest. And it was, honestly, we didn't do it when we were shooting it on the day. We didn't do it a bunch. It kind of went by really quickly, because it just, everyone was there and in it. And if you really just like put yourself in this character's shoes, my heart was constantly breaking for Betsy. And it's just so sad what this family was going through and what she was going through. But yeah, we didn't do it a whole lot of times. And what was great is that our director was able to sort of like shoot most of it handheld, so we were kind of able to just capture moments. And it was honestly like different, and every time, like I'd find new things that were frustrating, or we'd find a different way of blocking it, like pretty much every time. So what is in the show is probably like from one take only, which is really, really cool.
It's fascinating. And the second moment I want to just sort of go through like that, which to me, I think is the moment of the show. It's a much quieter moment. It's your last phone call with Grace, played by Cleopatra Coleman, where your character is sort of, asking once I get better, do you think we could try again? It's honestly like it's such a quiet moment. It's something that you could show to someone to show them this is how you sort of how an actor can bring out the subtext of what they're saying while they're saying something else. So in a quiet moment like that, what's your preparation process? What's your scene study, your script study, and how do you prefer to go about that?
that was actually one of my favorite scenes of the whole show. What was so great is that I had gone through a lot with this character already. We had shot a lot of scenes, a lot of episodes. So I had lived through this character for a bit when we shot the scene. And then I really thought that, I wanted to make sure that for both of those phone calls with Cleopatra, who plays Grace in the show, and Michael, both of those phone calls, I really wanted to be able to actually talk to them. And so I actually was. So it was really, I was able to talk to Cleopatra that day. And, really I just have to, when I first, before shooting the scene that day, I just really kind of, I had already gone through a lot of Betsy's journey already. So it's just kind of like remembering all of it and sort of like meditating on it. And I think we're seeing Betsy in a very vulnerable, there are a lot of vulnerable moments, but I think this is an especially vulnerable moment in the show, and how many times we've seen her try, and she has just gone through so much, and she's at a point where she's gonna try one more time, and I think that is a really heartbreaking element to that scene. And I think it was just a lot of internalization, really. And again, like you said, like there's a lot of subtext behind the silence and things that Betsy didn't say, but she was definitely feeling. And those are some of my favorite things to do as an actor, because I think there's so much that that humans want to say but don't. And I think that Betsy was just feeling a whole slew of emotions in that scene. So I think it was just a matter of, again, thinking about what I had gone through with the character already, and then thinking about how important this person is to Betsy, and how this is someone that she really, really, really loves. And it's just, I think that's what makes it so heartbreaking, is this is someone that this is another thing that she lost because of Oxy, this is, and that is what's, in Danny's writing is so beautiful in that way, where he really wanted to represent the people that were affected by it, not only the people going through addiction, but then also the families and the friends that were affected by it as well.
It's a really, like, it's an incredible performance. I watched the scene right before, just to refresh, and just to hear you talk about it again. It's just, it's a lot. It's beautifully brought to screen. And
thank you.
Of course,
I really appreciate saying that.
So yeah, before I let you go, we've looked back about as far as we can. So I would like to just real quickly, looking forward. You're clearly someone who likes the challenge, who is looking for the challenge, the challenging thing, the thing that will bring you somewhere you haven't been before. So I'm curious, looking forward, how are you identifying these challenges, these new challenges? What are you looking for? What part of this whole journey haven't you touched on that you're kind of trying to touch on now?
Yeah, the cool thing about this industry and what my job is that doesn't feel like a job to me, which is so cool. But what's really exciting about it is that I don't know. I don't know what's coming, and I've really been able to come to terms with that and accept it. And there are projects that come my way that I get really, really excited about, and then don't end up happening for whatever reason, or projects that come into my life a month before they're about to start. And, just things, everything happens for a reason. And but when I know, I know. And when I have a gut feeling about something, I want to put my entire, every fiber of my being into it. And, but that is the unknown is scary and exciting at the same time. So there are some things that are in development right now that I'm really excited about, that are challenging and different from what I've done before, which is what I want to, I guess, if I'm gonna speak on what I want to continue doing, that is what I want to continue doing, is just finding something that'll work a different part of my brain. But at this current moment, I'm just enjoying time with my family and reading things that come my way, and I'm about to start promoting 2 other projects that I have coming out soon. So it's I'm really enjoying this moment. It's been really nice, and I don't know really what's next. But I'm really just excited for what's to come.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much for being here. We'll be watching whatever comes next, and we will be watching Emmys night. Fingers crossed. It's very exciting. It's very exciting.
Thank you, Vinny.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having this chat with me. It was really nice.
Of course. Yeah, it's sometimes it's nice to look back. See how you got here.
Yeah.
Incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, as always, to our brilliant producer, Jamie Muffett, and to the whole team at Backstage: Samantha Sherlock, Mark Stinson, Caitlin Watkins, and of course, Casey Howe. Visit Backstage.com, and don't forget, you can subscribe to Backstage with code ENVELOPE at checkout for a free trial. 100% free, you simply cannot beat that. For more exclusive content, find us on Facebook and Twitter at In the Envelope, and subscribe, share, and leave a comment. Who should we interview next? Let us know. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time for another peek in the envelope.